Hey everybody, today I'm going to be reviewing the CSJ-X3. Kind of hard to spit that out. As you can see, I already got it powered up. And I want to do that real quick because I want you to see these how these lights are on this with it bound to the controller. I fired up here, you see it's already bound up. So it just has these LEDs just in the front. But you know, for an indoor flyer, which is really what it's made for, and a beginner, it still keeps the orientation, but it's kind of cool. It blinks between blue and red here on the front. Hopefully I can get it the right angle to show you that. When it's not bound, it's a lot quicker. So I want to show you how it looks with it turned on. When it reaches the low voltage alarm or the LVC, the low voltage cutoff, these lights will both go red. And that lets you know that you need to land it, the battery's going to go low. So it does have an on and off switch here on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it off now and turn off the controller. So this cage is really cool here. I really like this a lot. You can see on the box, of course, they call it the Photon Spirit. You can see it's got yellow in the front, but on the back here it shows yellow and blue. So I don't know if they're, they got two, the black and the white body and the blue and yellow shells, the canopies, but it says Versus. So I don't know if they think you could have a battle with these, because the cage is to protect it. So I guess you could do that if you had two of them, it would work. But the real advantage of this cage, of course, is to protect it from crashes, because it is pretty hard to crash this, and you're not going to damage the props with this on. So you can crash this into the walls or into the ceiling, and it's just going to keep on going. And if you hit something hard enough, you could whack it out of flight and make it land to the ground. But lots of times when if I did do that, it would land upright, and I could just go ahead and take off again. So because it's going to want to kind of roll over, as you can see, and ride it up and ride itself upwards when it lands. So just a really neat idea with the cage. I kind of thought this would just be a gimmick, but I'm surprised at how well this flies with this cage on here. Now this cage is removable. There are some little screws you can take off under the bottom. Under each motor pod there's 4 screws, so you can pop this off and you can reduce the weight and get longer flight times. Or if you're a beginner and you keep this on, you feel you've gotten good enough, you don't need this, you want longer flight times, you can go ahead and take it off. Let's see, we discussed the LEDs. Let's see, the battery in here is a 300 milliamp 1S LiPo. Like I said, I've already got it plugged in here, but I can go ahead, since I've already shown you the LEDs, I'll go ahead and pull it out, and hopefully it'll show up in the camera. The writing is really small on it. I don't know if that's going to focus in. I can't really tell here on my screen, but you take my word for it. 300 milliamp of this mini low-C connector, real common. I've seen this in a lot of little low-cost quadcopters. So this battery is going to be really easy to find, and they're probably not going to cost more than $1. So you can load up on these, charge them, and have a whole bunch of batteries ready to go to fly this thing. It comes with a USB connect, charging cable with the red light that comes on and goes off when it's charged. And it takes about 40 minutes to charge the battery, so not too long. It comes with an extra set of props, which you're not going to probably need. There's no way you're going to break those if you keep the cage on. If you take it off, you could use them. If you keep the cage on, I think the only reason you need extra props is if it threw a prop for some reason, you lost it, which I guess could happen. The flight time on this is about 6 minutes and 45 seconds, so not bad with this battery. 30 seconds of that is a low voltage alarm. Like I said, the lights will go red, let you know, and it'll finally just lose power and come to the ground. It doesn't just cut off and fall. So overall, pretty good flight time. Let's see here. It does have 3 rates, low, medium, high, or beginner, intermediate, expert. The yaw does increase with the rates, but the highest rate is what I call crazy yaw, or super fast yaw. It spins like a top. Now it's also even a little more sportier, but that would be really easy to lose orientation, even though you do have just the front lights that do help you. But it is cool indoors to just sit there and spin it, as you'll see in the flight review. But if you're a beginner, you probably want to stay in the lower rates on that if you're worried about losing orientation, which even happened to me a few times. But the intermediate to me is perfectly fine. It's still sporty enough. You don't need the expert if you're outside, but you're gonna have a hard time fighting a wind with something this small. So you don't want to fly this outdoors on a real calm day. It does 3D flips pretty darn well. Not great, but they're not sloppy, unless the battery starts to get low. As you get to 5 minutes or so, and before the low voltage kicks in, you start to do some flips. It will really kind of come down and takes it longer to recover. It just gets a little sloppier, but that's not unexpected as the voltage drops and the motor's unable to spin fast enough, move enough air. Let's go ahead and go over the controller now. I like this controller. It's kind of like, it looks like a game controller to maybe like an Xbox or a PlayStation. Fits nicely in the hands. It's good for a thumb flyer, but it's also big enough for a pincher. These buttons here on the outside here are not functional. You've got your full pitch and your roll trims. You got yaw trims here, so you can trim the yaw if you would need to, but that's something I've really never seen. You don't usually need to trim yaw. This middle button here, you press that turns the LEDs on and off. So if you want to save a little battery power, usually it doesn't make a huge difference to turn the LEDs on and off. But like I said, taking the cage off, the 6 minutes and 45 seconds flight time I got was with the cage on and the LEDs on. You take the cage off, I wouldn't be surprised if you got 8 minutes, maybe. I mean, I haven't tested it, but you would definitely get more flight time. Maybe with the LEDs off too, but like I said, LEDs aren't going to make a huge difference. The top button here on the left, this is to enter into headless mode. And the bottom button is going to be for one key return, which I was testing a little bit at my test, and it does work okay. The headless mode direction to use one key return, there's nothing in the instructions about resetting that. So the instructions the English is not good in the instructions, but it sounds like whatever direction you are facing when you bind this, that's always set your headless mode direction. That's what it's going to be the entire time until you power it off and on and rebind it. So you can't reset the headless mode direction. To calibrate the gyros, though, you go down and to the left until it blinks and then stops flashing. And you should always do that, especially at your very first flight, to calibrate level. Your top left is to do your rates. It's got 3 different rates. Like I said, low, medium, high, 1, 2, and 3 beeps. And your top right is for your 3D flips and then the direction you want to flip. And I think that pretty much covers all the things to control. It takes 3 AA batteries, so not too many batteries. And I think that pretty much covers it. It's like just a neat little quadcopter that is super for beginners. It's like around $17, I think, 17, 18 bucks. I don't think the shipping may be very much on it. I haven't checked that, but man, I don't think you're going to go wrong if you want to get this as a gift for a kid, or you just want to get your first drone, because you're not going to be able to damage it with this carriage or cage around it. So I think that covers it all. So let's go ahead and we'll move along to the flight review. Hey everybody, back with the flight review now, the CSJ-X3, this caged quadcopter. Boy, it's hard to spit that name out. I want to get the letters all mixed up, but it's the CSJ-X3 Photon Spirit here, the caged little quadcopter. This is blue. They also have one with a yellow canopy, and I think that the body is white on that one. Yeah, that's what it shows on the front of the box. Anyway, let's go ahead and we'll bind it, and we'll go ahead and take it up and demonstrate how the cage protects it, and some of the yaw and some flips. So go ahead and we'll turn on the quadcopter here. Turn on the controller, do your binding sequence, and it should be ready to go. Let's go ahead and see if we can take off here from the table. It's a little bit noisy, but it flies really nice. That's the lowest rate. So yaw's not too bad on the lowest rate. Go ahead and take it up to the intermediate. See, yaw is quicker, but not too much that you can't control it. Let's walk over here and we'll demonstrate the highest rate yaw. Here's the 3 beeps, and you'll see it's going to spin like a top. That's cool. The good thing is there's no breeze. Look how it stays in one spot. It doesn't drift around. So that makes it easier to do the highest rate yaw. And you can see it's pretty sporty. I'm going to go ahead and take it back. That's beginner rate, so that's good for a beginner. Take it to intermediate. That's the one I like to fly in. Still pretty sporty, but the yaw is not crazy. It's especially if you're going to fly it outside or somewhere where you might drift off in the breeze and you'll easily lose orientation. Let's go ahead here and do some flips by pressing the top right bumper. It's not too bad. Let's try that again. It wants to drop some. That's probably because of the canopy. I think if you took the canopy or cage, whatever you want to call it, off, it's going to flip better. Let's do a left flip. See, not too bad. Right flip. Back flip. Not bad. I mean, obviously indoors here, you know, the ceiling's only maybe 8 feet high. Outside or in a higher ceiling area, you're going to obviously it's going to have a lot more room. So the flips, like I said, they're not great, but they're not bad. Now, as the battery starts to get low, the flips start to get sloppier, but that's pretty common on these toy quadcopters. So you can see there's just the lights in the front. Looks kind of like a bug, blue and red, and they alternate there, blue, red, blue, red. I'm going to bring it up here and land it in my hand. My 5-year-old daughter was having fun catching it and kind of even bouncing it around. It's real easy to catch, let it land in your hand. It's really stable. Now once it reaches the low voltage, and then it's going to, both of those eyes are going to go solid red, and it gives you about 30 seconds, you know, before it's going to descend to the ground. It won't cut the motors and fall, so that's good. It does have headless mode, and it does have 1 key return. Not going to be real easy to test that, especially 1 key return here in the house, and I'm not a big fan of headless mode. So flight time's around, I think I said it was 6 minutes and 45 seconds, I believe. For 30 seconds, like I said, 30 seconds of that is the low voltage alarm. So not a bad flight time at all. Let's go ahead and do some collisions here so you can see how that cage works. Just going to bump it into the wall. See, it just boing, just bounces right off. I mean, that's great, especially for a beginner or a kid. Let's go ahead and we'll bump it into the ceiling here. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to crash this thing very easily. Let's just slide into the wall here. And that was pretty fast. Let's try to do a full speed here. Collision. It just bounces off. So really, I mean, and I see that it kind of knocked itself loose there. Look, I still was able to regain control. So even though it really hit hard and bounced off, I was still able to control it, and it didn't completely crash it on the ground. So overall, I mean, this cage just works really, really well. I thought it was going to be a gimmick, but it works really nicely. Like I said, it does. I think it probably affects the 3D flipping and makes it a little bit sloppier than without it. And it's going to decrease your flight time. I think if you took the cage off, you might add an extra 45 seconds, maybe even a minute. I just haven't had a chance to test it. I like the cage so much, especially if I want my daughters to try to fly it. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it on. But it's just a matter of taking off 4 screws on the bottom to pop it off. But just a basic quadcopter, you know, just the flips, headless mode, 1 key return, and the 3 rates. You know, no camera, you know, and none of the fancy stuff. No altitude hold. Altitude hold would probably be nice to make it even a little easier for someone to fly, but it's so stable. I mean, there's my hands off. It's just slowly descending. It's just a matter of getting the right throttle point. Look, hands off, and it's just barely raising up. It's just a nice little quadcopter and really inexpensive. I think it's under $20, like 17 bucks. So, just a cool quadcopter. I really am impressed with it. Don't really have anything negative to say about it. Let's see if we can. Well, still got some battery here. Let's see if we can do like a few funnels here. If I got enough room, I don't know. Kind of don't really have too much room to do a funnel. Let's try it again. It's kind of dropping down. I was doing them yesterday, and it does do them. And it could be because, again, the battery's might be getting a little bit low. There we go. It just tends to kind of drop. It doesn't hold its altitude very well doing funnels. So you get up high and funnel, it's going to come down. And if you do it early on in the battery, it's going to do it a little bit better. Well, I think that's pretty much all we need to see. Like I said, there's a yaw on intermediate. Let's go up to expert again. It's almost like a UFO. So often they call these UFOs. And there is the low voltage alarm. Let's see, you can see that. And there is the solid blinking red lights. So you know it's been, you know, close to over 6 minutes, I'm sure, here. And you got about 30 seconds to land it. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and take it over here and land it on the bed. Alright, just overall a really neat quadcopter. I like it a lot. So I would definitely consider this if you're a beginner, or if you want to get this for a kid and you don't have to worry about breaking props. You know, the spare props I think are only going to come into use if you throw a prop or you take this cage off and fly it. So really neat little quadcopter, inexpensive, and I like it a lot. So please stay tuned for some more reviews. And I got this boat sitting over here in the ground. I hope to review and I can get out to a lake. That's going to be really cool. So hopefully that shows up on the camera. Not getting washed out by the glare on my camera there. And please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And make sure you enter into the drone giveaway that's going on right now with Gear Best. It should be the video probably right before this one, where you can enter into you get the Jitang T905F. That goes until March 18th. So if you're watching it after March 18th, well then the giveaway is already over. So thanks a lot for watching and have a great day.